Hey guys, Ridiculous Badger coming at you. And I wanted to talk a little bit about Hancock today. So there have been some replays that have been circulating through the internetosphere, and they include either Hancock or NB55. Just going ham on enemy troops, like with untold power. Now, all of these replays are in Peak and in Ace of Galaxy, and I'll get into that a little bit of that in a moment, as to why that is so significant. But first, let's take a look at Hancock. That's not him. Here's Hancock. Feral Strength is the skill we're going to be talking about today. You could go somewhere else for a breakdown of this skill. It's not important for today. So, 30% chance to trigger before the action. All enemy units' attack and defense decrease by, it scales at 1.5% per level until the end of battle. So, at first glance, this looks like a breakdown type of skill. Why is it, but it is actually not. And why is it not? Well, let's look at that for a moment. So, if you look at skills like breakdown, it says, chance that blah, 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 and disregarded target percentage defense buffs. And that's the same kind of thing that, say, like, was Gilly, look. Disregarded target percentage defense buffs. Again. Nico. What does Nico say? Ignores target 60% buffs. So, the keywords ignore and buffs. Meanwhile, if you look at Hancock, defense decreases by a percentage. So it doesn't say the word ignore, it says the word decrease, and also it doesn't use the word buff. It's just talking about the defense. And there's another comm that also has something like this, which is NB55. The defense of the target is lowered and until next action. The fact of the matter is that NB55 doesn't hold a candle to Hancock. So what is the difference? What does this mean that Vega, Nico, and Gilly will ignore a defense buff or an HP buff? Meanwhile, Hancock and NB55 actually reduce the defense. So we know that if you throw Vega at a hard target, the more defense it has, the more damage potential, the more damage increase potential it has for Vega's breakdown. Because then that percentage, it's going to reduce it by 100%. That percentage is a larger value if they stack defense. So over time, what has happened is they haven't stacked defense. They've moved more towards HP, but because of that, actually, the way that Hancock's skill works, he could take advantage of that. So, in order to counteract a breakdown, the answer is very simple. You build an HP build, and to counter Sagittarius, you would throw a defense build rather than HP stats at it. But the thing about Feral Strength is because it's actually reducing the defense, this can be reduced below the base troop defense. Whereas with when going up against Vega, breakdown can only reduce it ever to the base troop defense stat, which is you could take a look in the barracks as to what the defense is. Look, let's see, T12 infantry have a base defense of 1500. So this number in green is part of the buff. Now, when it comes to comms like Hancock, he actually reduces the defense, so he could go even into the base troop defense, and if this procs enough, he will reduce the enemy defense to 1. Vega can never do that. When Vega goes up against the T12 infantry, the lowest that Vega can reduce it to is 1500. Hancock can reduce that number to 1, and what will happen then is massive damage. Now, in many cases, when you encounter people on server or in galactic battles, say, you'll notice that even if you don't build defense into your commander, your commander still has a buff based on the research that they have. That research buff is not there in Peak, and it's not there in Ace of Galaxy. So based on that, it is much easier for Hancock to reduce an enemy's defense to 1 because all they're dealing with is the gear that they have, and if there's Awaken on the comm. But all of this extra green stuff here, this 3060, which is substantial, is not on the comm during Peak or Ace of Galaxy. So if Feral Strike, Feral Stance, whatever, the first skill for Hancock, it reduces 90% of the defense per proc. So you could see already, I mean, I'm rocking like 200% defense based on just my research alone. So that would take more than 2 procs of Hancock's skill in order to negate. So in Peak and Ace of Galaxy, people have a lower defense to start with, so it will only take a few procs in order for the opponent of Hancock to be reduced to 1 defense. So this is a comm that's basically the way that you counter Vega is that you build an HP build. The way that you counter Hancock is you have to start putting defense back into your build, into your gear, and you're going to find that especially in Peak, people are going to start picking up Hancock, and they're going to use him to just great effect, because essentially what it is if he could proc Feral Strength 4 to 6 times, he's just going to do an amazing amount of damage, massive amount of damage. And by the time your comm gets hit with that reduction to attack also, they're going to start doing successively less and less damage. So this is a comm to look out for in Peak, and honestly, he's a ramp-up commander. So again, like in GB, he's more of a whale-type player's comm. But we might find some Hancocks, really getting some bigger scores on the board, both with Peak and with some of the whales in Galactic Battle. Now, as an aside, NB55, I know people have seen replays where NB55 does something similar. However, because it only lasts until the next round with NB55, you would have to get 2 procs off by getting, say, his slot 1 gets a proc and his slot 4 gets a proc, and they both land on the enemy slot 1. That's really not like mathematically significant enough to go for NB55. It's such a low percentage chance. But Hancock, on the other hand, it's a 30% chance. It hits all enemies. It doesn't refresh itself. It lasts until the end of battle. So this is going to be a serious comm that you should take a look at picking up, especially for your Peak lineup.